a game that was not listed is the Green Bay Packers at anybody because they choked again. Let's get right into the show. Go right ahead, DeMonte.
Congrats, Cheeseheads. You went on a pointless runs that ruined your chance at a top pick.
Yep.
The Packers fumbled the chance to see what they had in Jordan Love, and now they go into the offseason with a non-committal Aaron Rodgers and zero clue of Love's ability.
Yeah.
Will the decision not to shut it down weeks ago come back to bite them?
I mean, I think it already has.
Okay.
I think that, so after the game, you've got Jameson Williams ask Aaron Rodgers for his jersey. He's like, I'm going to keep this one. He goes,
That's a weird dude.
He goes arm in arm with Randall Cobb, and they were really playing up this could be Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer. If Aaron Rodgers might retire, which I don't think he's going to, or if might want to be traded, or you might want to trade him, you know what you'd like? To have been able to watch Jordan Love play this last month.
Yep.
And everybody killed me for that take. But, and even yesterday, after they lost, folks were like, Nick, you were obviously wrong. They had a shot. They had a shot at sneaking into the playoffs. Their shot at winning a Super Bowl died 6 weeks ago. And if you're still in the Super Bowl championship business, which you should be if you're the Green Bay Packers, and if you should be if you have Aaron Rodgers, then once this year's done from a Super Bowl perspective, because even if they snuck in, they weren't going to go to San Francisco and then go to Philadelphia and then it wasn't going to happen. Then you must do everything you can to put yourself in the best position for the next Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And now, what the hell do you do? I guess you pick up Jordan Love's option. What if Jordan Love says, hey guys, when you drafted me, I expected I might sit 1 year. I was open to the possibility of sitting 2 years. I swallowed that I was going to have to sit 3 years. I'm not sitting 4 years. You guys spent a first-round pick on me. Other teams would have drafted me. You're going to make me sit. And when after Aaron, you drafted Aaron around the same spot in the draft, you drafted me. He sat 3 years, and then you got rid of Favre. So there's that. So that's big picture, and we'll have plenty of the offseason to talk about the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and all of that. I mean, it'll just be a version of, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. Should have played Love. And again, just to be very clear, if you play Love and he's terrible, then you don't pick up the fifth-year option, and you know you got to keep Rodgers. If you play Love and he's okay, then you pick up the fifth-year option, you keep Rodgers. If you play Love and he's unbelievable, then you make the decision. Do we want to trade Aaron Rodgers and turn the page Jordan Love, or do we want to trade Jordan Love for help for Aaron Rodgers right now?
What can you even get for Aaron Rodgers these days?
Well, it's not as much because of the contract. You'd be able to get something, though. Like, for example, a team like the Jets that, let's say they don't get Jimmy Garoppolo or Derek Carr, or they don't want those guys, and they're like, you know what, we're good enough to win right now. The Titans with Mike Vrabel, like those are teams that are like, teams that think we can win right now if we have the right quarterback. The question is Rodgers the right quarterback? So this is how Aaron Rodgers' last 3 seasons have ended. 2 years ago, he's the league MVP. They're the 1 seed. They have a home playoff game. They're favored against Tom Brady. They blow it. Last year, he's the league MVP. They're the 1 seed. And that was in the conference championship game. They have a home playoff game in round 2 after the bye against the Niners. The Niners score 0 offensive touchdowns and beat Green Bay because Rodgers was terrible. This year, they have a de facto home playoff game against a team that's been eliminated, the Detroit Lions. And Rodgers throws for 200 yards, has a back-breaking pick at the end, and they blow it. There's no getting around this. He was outplayed by Jared Goff. DeMonte, what's been the one consistent point for the Lions? Their consistent weakness all year. Start of the year to theoretically the end of the
defense,
year.
right?
Their defense.
Yeah.
The dead last defense in the league. And you score 16 points. Can't capitalize in the red zone. Threw 2 picks to the same guy. Had one of them called back due to a very questionable hands to the face. And then you threw a pick to him anyway. It's a disastrous end. A disastrous end. And it follows a line of these Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs or in de facto playoff games in a big spot It's not a good look. In the mid-2010s, the Aaron Rodgers playoff stuff, a lot of it was the defense was awful, okay? But the year they won the Super Bowl, they're in the NFC Championship game against Caleb Haney, a backup for the Bears. He has 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a 55 rating, but they win. The next year, they're 15-1. Defending, and by the way, he was awesome in the other 3 playoff games, including the Super Bowl. I give him full credit. In the other 3 playoff games, he had 9 touchdowns, 0 picks, a 125 rating, was unbelievable.
Okay.
The next year, he's the runaway league MVP. They're 15-1. They lose a home playoff game to the Giants. He throws for 260 yards, has a pick, has a 78 rating. The next year, not his fault. The defense can't stop San Francisco. The next year, again, they play San Francisco, but they're at home, by the way. They lose the game. The next year, they are in Seattle with a chance to go to the Super Bowl, NFC Championship game. 1 touchdown, 2 picks, a 55 rating. They blow a big lead late. Seattle gets an onside kick. This is an unbelievable playoff game. The next year, you lose to the Cardinals in the playoffs. That one, I'm not going to put on Aaron. He didn't play well in that game, but he did have 2 Hail Marys in the same game, but they lose, I think, in overtime. The next year, you can't stop Atlanta. I'm not putting it on him. Atlanta scores 44. Then you miss the playoffs for 2 years. Then you have the game against San Francisco 3 years ago. You only scored 20 points. Then you have the game against Tampa at home. As a favorite, you lose. Then the game last year against San Francisco where they score 13 points. You're at home. You're off a bye, and you lose. And now this Lions game. It's just not a good history for a guy as talented as he is. 2 small coaching points in this game that I want to point out because I'm a coaching nerd. When the Lions looked like they were trying to run out the clock, they had a run on 1st and 10 to get 9 yards. It was like 3 minutes left. Packers had their timeouts. The Packers then smartly jumped off sides. So if you play Madden, you get this. The assumption is we're not going to stop them from picking up the 1 yard. So let's just give them the first down. That way we don't have to burn a timeout after they pick up the first down. Teams have been starting to do that the last few seasons. Dan Campbell in Detroit were one of the first teams I've seen recognize that's what they were doing and decline the penalty. Super sharp by the Lions. Super sharp. The refs were surprised. Tirico and Collinsworth seemingly had never heard of this strategy. It was super sharp by the Lions. I give them credit. A couple plays later, there is a critical moment, and I can't believe Tirico and Collinsworth screwed it up. It's 2nd and 7. The Packers are down to 1 timeout. In fact, no, they're down to no timeouts. There's 2:17 left. The Lions run a play. They get 2 yards. There is a holding penalty called on Detroit. This is a critical moment because you have no timeouts left. Because of the penalty, the clock is going to stop. If you decline the penalty, it's now 3rd and 5 with 2:15 left. You get a stop there. You're going to get the ball back down either 4 or 7 with the full 2 minutes. They idiotically accepted the penalty. So now, yes, instead of 3rd and 5, it's 2nd and 17.
Right.
But the Lions can run 2 plays, and then you get the ball back with 1:15 left.
Yeah.
And now the Lions ended up running 2 plays, getting it to 4th and 1, and with 1:15 left, went for it and got it. But that's a must-decline penalty spot. And Tirico and Collinsworth on the broadcast were like, oh, terrible penalty. And it stops the clock for Green Bay. But stopping the clock there isn't helpful if you accept it because you just get the down over again. You understand what I mean? Like, so it's the key thing is there that you can decline the penalty and get an extra timeout. So at the end of that game, Dan Campbell and his coaching staff, super sharp on something that could have saved the Packers 40 seconds, and the Packers really weak on something that could have gotten them a free 40 seconds. Bad job there.
Yeah.
Bad job there. All right, next.
So it looks like the Seahawks won the first trade ever. We also got a poll. But that was like a little question.
Is Rodgers done in Green Bay? 71% say yes. Yeah. I mean, that's to me, I'm more interested in that topic another day if he's going to get traded.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.